getting close!
No. The launch site refurbishment continues. Booster static fire soon. Ship 29 is undergoing interesting modifications ahead of Flight 4. SpaceX breaks yet another record. And Blue Origin shares more details regarding their next-gen space station. My name is Felix. Welcome to What About It? Let's dive right in. Starship updates. The heat is on. There is still a ton of work to do before we see another Starship leave the launch tower, but the pace is only accelerating. What to expect next? Want to know more? Come with me. It hasn't even been a month since the last launch of Starship, and it appears that we're on the brink of witnessing another prototype making its way to the orbital launch site. The flames of 33 Raptor engines gave the launch table a thorough beating during takeoff. It's clear that rapid reusability even off the ground equipment is not there yet. Yet, mere hours after the launch, the cleanup efforts were already in full swing, with workers getting the launch pad back to its original state. In March, we saw the removal of the so-called booster quick disconnect hood, which serves to protect the propellant feed lines from the elements. Once it was gone, it revealed what was underneath. It was clear that while the methane feed line was doing pretty okay, the liquid oxygen hose was destroyed. As one would expect, the damaged hose was swiftly replaced. However, the exact reason behind the damage is a bit of a puzzle. One suggestion as to what happened comes from our friend Ryan Hansen. He recreated a segment of the fueling infrastructure to come up with a possible explanation. Ryan's experiments suggest that the damage might be attributed to the extension fitted at the bottom of the LOX feed line. This extension likely causes the hose to bend more sharply during the quick disconnect retraction. Combine that with the extreme temperature fluctuations from cryogenic to the heat of an industrial arc furnace in mere seconds, and you've got the perfect conditions for a feed line failure. A potential fix could involve using a different length of hose or installing a mechanism to keep the feed lines cool during launch. For now though, replacing the damaged component is a quick and good enough fix, so major changes might not be on the horizon just yet. I also want to give a huge shout out to Ryan's X profile. It is a treasure trove of incredible insights, including, for example, this simulation of booster slosh dynamics. Now, the pace of work is staggering as always, and it seems there is a driving force behind this flurry of activity. A glance at the scheduled road closures reveals something quite intriguing. A new closure was set for April 5th, the day this video is released. These types of closures usually mean one thing: static fire. Now, at the time of recording this, Booster 11 was still at the production site missing its hot staging ring. Yet, it's entirely possible that by the time you're watching this, the ring has been fitted and the prototype has been transported to the launch site to take its place on the orbital launch mount. Alternatively, we might also witness extensive Stage 0 testing. We already saw some a few days ago, but perhaps thoroughly testing all the systems requires vacating the facility. The gases vented during tests have a tendency to displace oxygen, which poses an asphyxiation hazard. It is better to be safe than sorry. Should a successful static fire occur this week, the next logical step would be to move Booster 11 to the first megabay for further modifications. For example, the previous prototype, Booster 10, got additional slosh baffles, which helped successfully complete the boost back burn. While Stage 0 may be equipped to handle a brief static fire, an actual liftoff introduces a whole new set of challenges. During engine tests, the Raptor engine's flames do not interact too much with the launch deck's interior, meaning components like cables and sensors don't require much protection. If it doesn't lift off, the booster fires down onto the deluge system without touching the delicate ring on top. However, for actual launches, these elements must be thoroughly safeguarded, a task that will likely take the most time after the static fire. Upgrades will also be added to the upper stage of the Flight 4 Starship, Ship 29. In fact, we're already seeing progress regarding some of them. To get a clear picture, we have to move to the production site, specifically High Bay, which is currently home to 3 prototypes. Ship 31, Ship 30 and Ship 29 in the front. These are the last V1 Starships. After this, a lot will change again. 29 was brought in here after it completed a second static fire at suborbital pad B. So far, it has conducted one 6-engine static fire and one single Raptor test, which simulates in-space engine relight burns. During that second test, it lost quite a few of its heat tiles. This is rather normal on current starships. Anchoring them down on the stand and having little ground clearance during the static fire amplifies vibrations greatly compared even to a full launch. However, looking at it now, we can see that there is more to the story. Starting at the top, Ship 29 is now missing tiles at the tip of its nose cone. It is bald, a slab head, a chrome dome. For some reason, all of the tiles were removed and the metal underneath was cleaned. Additionally, tiles adjacent to the forward flaps and near the aft flaps are also missing. At this point, it is crucial to understand that SpaceX employs two methods to secure the heat shield. The first involves the use of clips. Most standard hexagonal tiles have 3 metal slots on their back. The ship itself has thousands of these little clips that allow the workers to snap the tiles on. Additionally, between the heat tiles and the Starship's metallic surface, you'll find a specialized insulating mat made of ceramic wool which serves as an extra protective barrier. The second method of keeping the tiles in place is just to glue them to the surface. This method is mostly used for areas of the Starship where the surface curves upwards or where there are edges. The used adhesive is often easy to spot on the tip of the nose cone, as a distinctive red tint is visible between the tiles. The question you are probably asking now is, why would SpaceX remove the tiles in these critical areas? Great question. During the third flight, in the early stages of re-entry, even before the plasma became visible, we witnessed a sea of little chunks falling off the ship. While some of this debris was likely ice shed from the tanks, numerous black pieces were also spotted. And there aren't that many black parts at the top of the ship. This leads to the speculation that there was an issue with how the tiles were mounted, possibly resulting in their disintegration upon re-entry. Perhaps SpaceX wants to try out a new glue or different shaped tiles to mitigate the issue, as Elon Musk has clearly stated that the goal for Flight 4 is to survive the re-entry. Some of the tiles are already being reinstalled, and so far they don't look different from what was there before, but we definitely need to keep an eye on this. What do you think? Why would SpaceX remove so many tiles? Have they discovered something concerning during Flight 3? Please let me know in the comments below. That rhymes. While the focus is currently on completing the last few V1 Starships, our photographer John has potentially captured the very first image of a section of the next-gen V2 prototype just outside the Star Factory. It's on! Upon closer inspection, it is clear that this metal barrel is the ship's payload bay section. However, a few aspects about it stand out as unusual. So what are the first changes ever spotted on a V2 Starship? The most notable change in this new section is its size. It is smaller. Traditionally, payload bays for earlier prototypes were composed of 5 rings, but this new version is constructed from just 3. Furthermore, the location of the payload bay door has shifted. It is now located at the seam between the first and second rings, whereas it used to be situated within the second ring in previous models. This change can likely be attributed to a stiffer hull. Raised structural integrity means fewer strings are needed. Aside from this, the barrel also has clips as well as a few heat tiles. They appear to be identical to previous prototypes. Most importantly, however, it also has cutouts for what appears to be the Mechazilla lifting points. This is a particularly intriguing detail, since in current designs these points are positioned just below the forward flaps. While it's definitely exciting and worth keeping an eye out for, this is likely just a pathfinder, a test piece to explore new design concepts rather than a final product. Given Elon Musk's statements about future ships being taller, most of the work on these prototypes will have to be done in the second megabay. Anything else would likely be too small to accommodate a full V2 ship with enough space around it. Looking at this building from the side of the road, you can actually see a white stand right in the middle of it. It is a shipwork platform that allows workers to safely and quickly install Raptor engines, as well as conduct maintenance on the prototypes. In fact, the Megabay has 3 such stands, and they must have proven effective, as recently SpaceX dismantled the engine installation stand located in the rocket garden. No more outdoor engine installation. Additionally, workers also installed the fabric doors designed to protect the inside from wind and foreign object debris. Overall, SpaceX is clearly getting ready not just to produce more of the same, but different prototypes. Change keeps on coming at Starbase. Now let's talk about towers. Starting with Starbase located at the Sanchez site are two sections of the second Starbase OLIT. Section 8 as well as Section 9. As you can see from the pictures, they appear to be mostly ready. Our second photographer, conveniently also called John and based out of Florida, discovered that SpaceX seems to be preparing the next batch of components for shipment to the port of Brownsville. Among his findings was what appears to be one of the pulleys used in the Mechazilla crown block. It's the topmost section and you can clearly see it on the first Mechazilla too. This pulley guides the cable that enables the chopsticks to go up and down. The entire weight of the chopsticks assembly and anything it carries rests on this pulley. These components are expected to arrive in Brownsville along with the final two tower sections, after which they will be all transported to the Sanchez site for finishing touches. Soon we should also see the first signs of foundation for the new tower as the wick drain stitchers are slowly wrapping up their job. Exciting times ahead. Now, before I tell you about the third Starship tower, here's a quick word about privacy from our sponsor.
Thanks, Felix. As a news host, I've seen firsthand the dangers of identity theft and unauthorized access online. It's a real concern, with NASDAQ reporting over 1 million cases in 2022 alone. That's why I'm thrilled to introduce you to our sponsor, Incogni. With Incogni's automated data removal service, regain control of your privacy and protect yourself from becoming a victim by opting out of data brokers' databases automatically. Worried about illicit transactions or suspicious verification emails? Cybercriminals need details like your name, date of birth, and social security number to steal your identity. Most data brokers collect a plethora of these coveted data points. Say goodbye to those concerns with Incogni. By removing personal data from online platforms, you minimize the risk of identity theft and unauthorized access, ensuring your online identity remains secure. So, why wait? Sign up, grant permission, and let Incogni erase your fears. Ease your mind and reclaim your personal data with Incogni. Use code Felix at the link below and get 60% off an annual plan.
All safe, back to more Starship news. Many, if not all of you, should be familiar with the legendary Pad 39A, arguably the most iconic launch pad in the world. It served as the primary site for the majority of crewed Saturn V missions, was later repurposed for the space shuttle launches, and is now leased out by NASA to SpaceX. After taking over, SpaceX modified the launch site to support its current flagship vehicle, the almighty Falcon rocket family. However, for years, the idea was that LC-39A would eventually get an addition in the form of an orbital launch integration tower. In fact, the first work at Pad 39A related to Starship began years ago, with SpaceX constructing a flame diverter in 2019. Yes, there was a time when the Starship launch pad was supposed to be outfitted with a real flame diverter. In the end, the project was halted, and we entered a long period of zero Starship progress at 39A. The silence was broken in June 2022 when the first segment of the launch and integration tower arrived at the site. Alongside this development, SpaceX also began erecting the legs of the orbital launch table. Over several months, workers assembled the tower and then everything stalled yet again. That is until now. Operations at LC-39A resumed in late March. However, this is probably not the progress we were all hoping for. On March 23rd, SpaceX cut down 2 of the orbital launch mount legs and tipped them over. This action was then repeated on another leg, and within a week, Stage 0 at LC-39A stood legless. Well, that's not good, or is it? Simultaneously, SpaceX has been assembling the Orbital Launch Mount launch table, the ring on top of the OLM, at the Hangar M facility for nearly 2 years now. Recently, that table was moved outside. However, rather than being prepared for transportation to the launch site, workers began the scrapping process. Taking pictures at Hangar M is prohibited, so you'll have to trust us on this one. It's plausible that SpaceX, drawing from its experiences at Starbase, concluded that LC-39A's current foundation isn't robust enough to support a Starship launch. You know, the whole concrete tornado thing. Freeing up space would allow drilling rigs to add additional piles, and the whole facility could get a makeover, just like the original gateway to Mars. The table itself was likely redesigned. So many upgrades identified that modifying the old one made no sense. While the workers can refurbish it after the launch, real-world tests quickly revealed that this design isn't compatible with Starship's planned rapid launch cadence. SpaceX is planning to launch the same Starship 3 times per day in the end. The team could never be quick enough to do all the currently needed refurbishment of the tower and launch mount in mere hours. This is why we'll likely see an entirely new launch deck at both LC-39A and the second Starbase tower. The only issue is that building such a piece of hardware is a monumental task that can take months, so we likely won't see that new table soon. What do you think? Can the current design be improved to launch a Starship 3 times per day? Place your bets in the comments. Now, you've watched more than half the video and you're still watching. Thank you, this means you like it. We've looked into our channel metrics and there are over 2 million returning monthly viewers who have not subscribed yet. Help us improve the channel even further by double checking that you've hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our updates. And while you're at it, give us a like and become a wise supporter for exclusive SpaceX updates. You get access to daily Starbase photo galleries, including satellite, aerial, and ground photos of SpaceX's progress, and countless other extras on top. And no matter how much you decide to give, everyone gets the same supporter content and access. You decide what you want to give. For all those who watched IFT3 with us or somewhere else, I have something very special: our IFT3 commemorative shirt. If you loved IFT3, this is something you want to have. It is in our shop right now. The shirt is tagged in the video. The link to our Patreon page and our new website is in the description. Thanks to all the supporters who help us fund more crazy projects. We can't thank you enough. You rock. Switching back to the news, we're still in Florida and still with SpaceX. They've once again shattered their own record. Some of you may recall that SpaceX set an ambitious goal for 2023, launch 100 Falcon missions. They nearly hit this mark, falling just 2 launches short. 98 launches in 1 year, stunning. But that hasn't deterred them from setting the bar even higher for 2024. Numerous people at SpaceX confirmed that this year they are aiming for a staggering 144 launches. Are they crazy? Believe it or not, they might actually be able to pull it off. For the past few months, SpaceX has maintained a monthly launch cadence fluctuating between 9 and 10 missions. Not quite on par with the 144 launch goal, but in March they decided to take things to the next level. Not only did they manage to launch 11 missions, but they also squeezed in an additional one, totaling at 12 missions that month. This obliterated their previous record of 10 launches in a month. Let me put this into perspective. They launched more missions in March alone than throughout the entirety of 2019. Not even mentioning the rest of the world combined. SpaceX has launched 32 rockets in 2024 so far, and the entire rest of the world another 33. One company on par with the entire rest of the world. If they manage to sustain this pace of 12 launches per month and squeeze in 2 more launches by the end of the year, reaching 144 flights should be possible. And the most exciting part? We'll see a similar launch cadence improvement with Starship. Given that it was designed with rapid reusability in mind, the number of missions could grow not by tens or hundreds, but by a whole order of magnitude. Lastly, let's briefly touch on Blue Origin. Did you know that they are not just focused on building rockets? In collaboration with Sierra Space, Boeing, and other companies, Blue Origin is developing a commercial space station named Orbital Reef. This project even has some backing from NASA, as the company was granted $130 million for the station development. Despite being in the works for over a year, details about Orbital Reef have been scarce. However, this has recently changed with the publication of a short paper in the Nature Science journal. Mainly, we've learned more about how Blue Origin plans to deploy the station. As early as 2027, the heart of Orbital Reef is supposed to be launched. This will consist of a core unit equipped with a mast designed to provide power and thermal regulation for the entire station. Then, by the 2030s, we should see the addition of 3 more modules. One of them will be the Life Module, an inflatable habitat by Sierra Space, which is currently already undergoing testing. According to the included graphics, this module will house 10 crew cabins, areas for plant growing, and spaces dedicated to a gym and other recreational activities. Attached to it will be a node featuring a standard docking mechanism, ensuring compatibility with most spacecraft currently in operation. This node will also include an airlock to enable spacewalks. On the other hand, you'll find a research module constructed by Boeing, allowing astronauts to conduct a wide array of experiments in zero-G. Initially, the Orbital Reef will boast a habitable volume of 250 cubic meters or 8,000 cubic feet, approximately a third of the volume available on the International Space Station. If the plan works out, the station is expected to expand in the early 2030s with the addition of further modules, possibly surpassing the ISS in terms of size and capability. I've said this before and I'll say it again, the 2030s will be the era of commercial space stations and I can't wait to see it. That's it for today. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe for more awesome content. This is what fuels the algorithm and helps us immensely. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. The link is in the description. And if you want to train your space IQ even further, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you again in the next episode.
Bark, bork, heck.
Of slosh. Ryan.